how kind of the lessons I've learned and what I want to pass forward. So this is my path. During this presentation, my goal and what I want is to be extremely open with everybody. Am going to be fully transparent, and I'm gonna just really try to be honest with everything that happened in my life. And that's just because I feel like sometimes, you just see people in different levels and you don't really know how they got there. And I think one of the best things is just really trying to tell you what happened to me and what kind of where I came from. So a little bit of agenda. I am gonna try to speak for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and then I'm definitely going to try to leave time at the end for any questions. So if you have any questions, I know that that's definitely something that I want to get to and try to answer as many as I can. Cool. Awesome. So here we go. I'd like to start off with this quote because I think for me, this quote really resonated through this whole process of really creating this speech and just kind of figuring out what I wanted to talk about. And this is a quote from Steve Jobs where it says, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. You have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in the future." For me, I had no idea how any of my dots were lining up. I had totally did not know how they were going to connect, where I was going to be, what I was trying to shoot to. And I really just really went along and just tried to trust myself and really try to kind of stick with the little achievable goals that I try to set for myself. And honestly, I don't know any of the future or how those dots will line up in my path at all. I kind of just know where I've landed now. So I definitely like to keep this in mind because sometimes you go along this path of life and you don't really know. And then once you really stop to look back, it is a line that does connect. So I just wanted to share this because this definitely resonated with me. So first spot along my path that I got really into some chaos. So a lot of people don't know this about me. At a very young age, I was 7. I got diagnosed with a learning disability, actually. And at 7 years old, somebody told me that I had a 10% chance of graduating high school and a 3% chance of going to college. So this was definitely my first interaction with chaos at a very young age. And I really had a moment with myself where it was like, I don't really know what this means for me or what my future is going to be. And it was extreme chaos, of which I didn't feel very control over. And I really had to face the hard facts when I was very young at 7. So it's all good. Don't freak out. The story has a good ending. I'm an alum of a great college, so it's cool. Everybody cool. But so honestly, this is how I started. I started by going, it's not who you are that holds you back. It's who you think you're not. So I had a lot of people telling me I couldn't do a lot of stuff. I had my disability really was focused around the fact that I couldn't interpret knowledge the way that most kids interpret knowledge. So I tend to learn very differently than other people when it comes to how I actually digest information. And I really had to figure out for myself who I wanted to be. So it was up to me. It wasn't up to other people to decide the route I wanted. And the first thing I had was desire to go forward and achieve. And I decided at a really young age that I was going to figure out a way to be successful in whatever that meant in my eyes. And that really actually took the next 11 years of my life. I didn't have a plan. I had no plan. I was 7 years old. I just had an idea that I could figure this out. I just needed to be open and really start my journey. Yeah. So took the first step. Yeah, it was a wild one. So my mom and my family are all very, very, very involved in my life. At that point in my life, they also knew the information that I knew about 10% chance of graduating high school and 3% chance of graduating college. I come from a family that is very, very intelligent as well as very good at being a unified front. So I really relied on them at a young age to help me figure out what this meant. So honestly, I started with just trying to figure out other ways that I internalize information. I did a lot of testing and trying. This led to me getting kind of connected with an amazing teacher of mine, Miss Petter, who helped me learn ways to actually learn new information and try to figure out how to read and write and communicate. And I spent a lot of my childhood learning how to communicate with other people, learning how to understand and pick up on small cues that most people don't look at, because I couldn't learn the normal way. So I had to find another way. This actually snowballed into me forming really good habits of learning, understanding how to kind of go through school a little differently than most people. It also taught me a lot about how to read. I read a lot through memorization, where like visually I interpret information very visual. It also taught me to really kind of connect with people and rely on people and give trust. And it actually turned out great. Miss Petter actually went for a doctoral program, and I was her case study, and she actually rolled out a new platform on how to teach kids with learning disabilities. And I definitely was like patient number one in her dissertation, but she did become a doctor. Through the good habits that I formed, I did go to middle school where I achieved pretty good grades. High school, I achieved very good grades because at that point my habits were pretty settled in, and I knew how I learned, and I really kind of stuck to my path. And the growth was slow. Like I did not rocket star off of, some giant hill, and I tried every day to just get a little better. And I did graduate high school with pretty good grades. I did take the SATs and actually got into college. So part of that 3%. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, it was definitely my first go at chaos. And I guess this comes back to my first lesson, which is you have to stay optimistic. A lot of people tell you stuff that it's doomsday everywhere. Everyone, you're never going to get to the top of the mountain. You have no chance, da, da, da. It's a lot of people try to tell you things that they think will help you, but you have to stay optimistic, and you have to know what you desire and keep going, no matter how small the steps is to get to what you want, and stay happy. I mean, happy and kind are definitely some things that I've realized in my life have allowed me to be able to partner with people that have helped me to achieve such great success. And even though times are wild, staying optimistic and being happy is definitely one of the best things to try to kind of have in your back pocket of all times. And some days are going to be rougher than others, but at the end of it, it's going to be okay. So also, I guess another thing I would say is keep it light. Don't get so much pressure on yourself. It's not going to be this one day you're at this stage and the next year success. It's a slow process, and that's okay. And don't put so much pressure on yourself. It's all going to be okay. And just keep walking towards your goals. So after all this learning, I learned how to learn the way I learn. As I would say, it was successful. I got into college, everybody. Whoop, whoop. So at the time I went to PhilaU, that now is Jefferson. So they did accept me. A number of colleges actually accepted me as a student. I was super thankful, but I honestly chose PhilaU in Jefferson because of the community, the energy, and the environment. I felt like that's something that I just had a really good feeling about, and I thought I could grow there as an individual. So I did get a chance to go to college, thankfully, and I'm super happy about that. And I kind of took the skills that I learned in communicating, understanding how I learn, and keeping everything light and fun and optimistic into college. So that was kind of my first dose of chaos, definitely. And that a little bit of my own chaos, maybe not so much going on in the world, but definitely my first dose. So at this point, life kind of started over. I got out of high school. I was on my own. It was a little bit of bigger level. College is definitely a bigger level than high school. So I started to try to figure out what this meant for me, and to be honest, the entire time in my freshman year, I had this cloud hanging over my head that listen, you got a 3% chance of succeeding at this. So here we go, So, but I always try to stay optimistic. And I really thought that I could try to start a journey and kind of see where it leaded. led to. Funny enough, it led here. So I actually started at PhilaU, Jefferson. I started in the architecture program. I thought coming out of college that I really wanted to do architecture. I really had an interest in like creating homes and for people and really interacting with people. I knew that design was something I could do because I was very visual. I could communicate really well. So I started here. And honestly, it was really rough. The first semester in college was an absolute train wreck for me. I did not get good grades. I was kind of freaking out. I couldn't understand like how to speak the language of design. I felt like nothing really, the language of architecture, I felt like nothing really hit me in those classes. And I wasn't really sure why. I knew I wanted to do something with humans and being very human focused and communicating in design, but I wasn't succeeding, and I honestly wasn't happy. And my grades showed that. I loved the school, but like I just couldn't really fit into that box. And that kind of hit me into my next kind of chaos where I was just like, I'm at this school. I really want to make this dream happen for myself. How do I figure out how to be successful in this world? Kind of knowing what I know. And honestly, the next biggest thing is I pivoted. If anybody knows this is from Friends. This might be a throwback. I don't know how many young people we have on this call, but like truly a great show, Friends, Pivot. So I decided to pivot, honestly. I don't know. I feel like I needed a change, but I knew where kind of I wanted to go. So I did pivot. I decided that I would try different things out. And I reached out to friends. I had a really, really awesome girl that lived right down the hall from me, Amy Tischer. And she came up to me and said, listen, like, it's going to be cool. Why don't you come and check out industrial design? And I said, okay, I don't know, Amy, I'm kind of freaking out. I don't know what I'm doing. She's like, well, just come over and into the house and like, we'll figure some stuff out. So at the time, industrial design was in Smith House. And so I went over there and I met with a really crazy guy, Gutsunger, who at the time was the dean. Met Todd there too. And they showed me around and helped me kind of see what industrial design was. At the time, I was like, they make really cool stuff. It's really products for people. They have great discussions in class. They get a bunch of cool tools. Like, I should try this out. Maybe this is my thing. So I did switch to industrial design. So happy I did. Best decision, honestly, of my life. And it really set me up for success. So I think pivoting in that scenario really, really helped me. And that I just wanted to say too, I love this quote about pivoting. Pivoting is the change of strategy without a change of vision. My vision never changed. I always wanted to stay at PhilaU. I always wanted to graduate, and I always wanted to kind of make things. Like, I wanted to make something. I'm a maker. So I just needed to figure out a path and avenue to get there. I tried architecture and it really didn't settle with me. And then I pivoted to industrial design where it really just was comfortable. So I think the huge lesson here truly is that like pivoting is okay. It's totally okay. I also like to say, and some people have different views on this, I also like to say fail fast. I definitely failed fast with architecture. I tried it. I knew I didn't like it. I made a decision. I pivoted and just tried something else. And when you pivot, I think we have a tendency to give blame on ourselves. Like, oh my gosh, it didn't work out. I failed. Oh man, I have to start over. And it's really like, I try hard not to think that way, because at the end of the day, pivoting, you still have the same vision. So you're not switching gears. You're just taking a different path to get there. And the other thing I really wanted to say is like, I really think of the thought of like an artillery fire range. Like, when an artillery fire range shoots a missile into the air to hit a target, a lot of times they shoot it and they miss it their first time because they want to see where the munition lands. And then they go and adjust to try to hit their target again. There's no like sad or wrong feeling that they didn't hit their target the first time. You just have to switch and try again. And I think pivoting, especially in chaotic times, is so smart, because It allows you to get to the mission and the end goal where you want to be without necessarily trying to destroy your kind of mental foundation you built for yourself. So yeah, I did pivot. I loved it. And I got to build great stuff. And I got to meet amazing people. So this is my crew. I joined this crazy tribe. So this is all of us in front of Smith House. This was the class that I graduated with. There's 28 of us. At the time, industrial design was still quite small. I think we were only the 6th group of kids going through the program. But like, honestly, these people taught me so much. A lot of them, most of them, I still talk to easily on a monthly basis and are my best friends. And truly, they were my family at PhilaU. And yeah, that guy in the corner is Todd. That's Todd in the corner over there. Giving you a shout out, Todd. So yeah. So in industrial design, I blossomed for sure. I met a lot of my best friends. I got to create beautiful stuff, and I got to create also a culture of helping me understand how to take and give constructive criticism, how to have crits, how to have people, my really good friends, talk to me and just tell me when like I could have done this better, I could have done this. And it really helped me grow a culture of what good design is and what good design energy is, and really how to work with one another. It also was the birthplace for me to start learning the design process, which now in my current job is fundamentally the most important thing. So this literally was the first moment that I really started to learn this, and these people actually helped me on this path. So everybody wants to see some work, I'm sure. So this is actually one of the first things I did at PhilaU or Jefferson during industrial design was the vessel project. So this was my vase. It is the same vase. It pivots around the center pole. And this honestly was the first moment that I fell in love with homeware, which actually grew into the career that I have now. So a lot of things, I still have this vase. It sits in my house. I actually made a couple other ones because it does mean a lot to me and kind of things that happens in my life. So a great project, learned how to use the lathe on this project, just learned a lot. And yeah, it really was kind of like my first jumping off point with industrial design. So the next project I wanted to show was, this is the SDI project. It's one that we worked with a company where we redesigned kind of electronic home alarm clocks. And this was actually a place where I started to learn teamwork and how to design within a team and how to talk within a team. I already grew a great culture and had some of my best friends, but this is one of the first times that we had to all design together, be on the same page, encourage each other. And that honestly also helped me further in my career. It also helped me to learn and understand systems and how systems works, as well as product workflow to get things done, to have like engineer drawings done. What does that mean? And this is probably one of the most holistic looks at a product. For this product, we also had to look at packaging, how it was manufactured, what it looked like, how did it sit in a suite. So we stopped just focusing on one product and we brought it out to a larger array of products. And a lot of those skills I actually still use on a daily basis is zooming out and thinking larger about something. So that was about junior year. And then the last work that I had to show for at least Jefferson was this one, which was, this was a doozy. So this was my senior thesis project. It's called Release. It's an athletic professional gym bag that we thought you could take into an office and it would look appropriate. Obviously now we're not going in offices, but at the time, this was the thing, guys. This was like super cool. So this honestly, I think Goods, Todd, and Mike all talked to me and Amy. It was me and Amy Tischer, the one that helped me get into industrial design. We partnered on our senior thesis, and all of them told us, like, are you sure you want to do a soft goods project? Because at the time, we were the second person in all of industrial design to do a soft goods project. And at the time, neither of us knew how to sew. So that was definitely not smart, but we definitely wanted to do it because like I had a feeling that soft goods, there was something there. I was really excited about it. It was a bag. For some reason, I thought just, I really wanted to explore that. And I never did soft goods and I wanted to. So we did have an uphill battle for sure. We had to learn how to sew and create all these things. We had no idea what products in a soft goods world would be, but that was kind of the point. Senior year was the first time that I got out of my comfort zone pretty hard and really jumped into a material that I did not understand. Thankfully, I had textile and fashion right around me in Hayward Hall. And I'm telling you, use your other students in other areas. Using like I think we tapped into so many different areas of the school with this project. We talked to people from graphics, business, marketing. We talked to textiles and fashion at nauseum because neither of us knew anything about either of those things. But we got to network and really collaborate across the entire college, which was so amazing and helpful to us. We did learn how to sew, so that's also great. And we got to really kind of do justice to soft goods, and we were happy about that for sure. So getting out of the comfort zone and networking was really, really great. And then, it turned out pretty good. So this is me and Amy, senior year, at the at the senior show. We won second in our senior show, which was amazing. And it was really a time that we could celebrate and honestly like pass out a lot of compliments and a lot of thank yous to a lot of people that helped us get to this moment. So it was awesome. Got second place, loved it, learned a ton, really stretched our design muscles. And it was an amazing way to end a 4-year crazy ride of my life where I was so nervous that I wasn't going to get there and did get there at the end of it. So it was definitely awesome. So we graduated. That's awesome. 3% chance, guys, graduated. So this is all of us at graduation. We took a group photo. We still are friends, had a great time at graduation, loved every second of it. It was awesome. High of a life, man. And also was the point that I started over. So this is probably the second part of my life that I've started over and had to jump directly back into what? Chaos. So at this point, I graduated in 2009, which meant that was the recession. Huge unemployment. Everybody had losing their homes, terrible, just awful things happening that year. Coming out of school with a degree in industrial design where you make things and everybody's employed and nobody wants to make anything, everybody just wants to figure out how to get stable is extremely scary. And honestly, my second phase of chaos, the 21 years before this was all dedicated to getting through college and trying to figure that chaos. And honestly, I just jumped into another one. So this really was the chaos of uncertainty. It wasn't me and what I could do to make myself better. It was all around me this time. And yeah, it was super scary. So when we graduated, I tried to find a job that I could take to make some money. To be fully transparent, it was a terrible job. It was really rough. I just really didn't kind of ever get to where I wanted to be. The company couldn't afford me because they also went under. So then I was stuck really just like with no job, down on my luck, trying to figure out where to go, trying to figure out what to do, pivoting and really just trying to get some footing. And then I jumped onto what is Studio KMD. So for me, I was like, okay, I've got all these great skills. I know how to do all these things. So maybe somebody could just like hire me or like me and another person and we could just make some kind of money to try to like ride this wave out. So I joined Studio KMD with Bryce Beamer, who is also another alumni and really good friend of mine. We both had great skills. Luckily, we had skills that complemented and were separate of one another. I was good at some stuff. Bryce was good at the opposite stuff that I was good at. So it was a great match. And Little did I know, I had no idea how to run a business. I just knew I had great design skills. So I was like, okay, let's jump in on this guy. And, I knew what I desired. I knew that I wanted to kind of get on my feet, make some money, try to figure out how to get some stability in my life and all this chaos. So I just started going down this road. So Studio KMDs, joined that in 2009. We had 2 clients. And it was like, thank you. We had no offices and we had 2 employees, which was me and Bryce. I stayed in that company for 7 years. We grew that company to have 12 plus high profile clients. Some of our clients included Adidas. We did some work for the federal government. We did some work. I know Bryce did some work for NASA. We did a lot of stuff with Urban Outfitters, Free People. So a lot of amazing high level clients. We got into a 9,000 square foot warehouse and office space where we had all of our tools and setup, as well as kind of like an R&D space, and we could employ people. So great 7 years, but what did that mean? Well, it meant that we had to learn to network and we had to learn to run a business, which 2 things that we had no idea how to do. So what I did is I networked with everybody that went to Jefferson because I knew that they knew what me and Bryce could do. And we knew how hard and what our design programs were. So if I called someone and said, hey, I'm from Jefferson, we have this set up, we can run this, we can do that. If you need anything, just give us a call. They're going to call us because they know they came from the same school that you came through. They know what you guys can do. So we actually grew this company through networking. And I definitely think even my senior thesis and all the networking I did at the school was so pivotal and helpful for that. So I definitely want to pass on that information. When you can try to network, you never know when it comes back. And don't be afraid to reach out to alumni from the school. We're all pretty proud people that we came from this school. So reach out and be very open about that. For business, to learn how to run the business, I actually picked up some classes at University of Pennsylvania. So I went to UPenn Wharton. I didn't do the business program. I literally just picked up the classes I needed to understand how to drive a successful, profitable business. So that really helped us to understand how to do accounting, understand how to do bill pay, understand how to do like employment, how to write a scope of work, all the little things to run a business that really make a big difference. So I actually, when I didn't know the knowledge or Bryce didn't know the knowledge, we went out and got the knowledge and brought it back. And that really helped us to grow much faster than we probably could have done. So honestly, doing Studio KMD taught me how to run machines. It taught me how to sit in boardrooms with very, high level executives, how to talk to high level executives, how to understand what they're looking for and what you could offer them. It also taught me how to manage people and employees and relationships and manage projects and manage myself. So Studio KMD was basically like another school for me to really learn all this stuff, which was awesome. So some of our projects, just 2, I just put 2 on here. A lot of the projects that we did, we can't really show a ton of it because it was for other people, but the 2 that I just kind of want to shout out is on the right. That was a really successful product we did with Free People in their homeware line. This was our tub boards. So what that board is we had an artist hand draw a illustration of nature, which was like a flower drawing. And then we laser etched that into a really exotic wood. This is spalted maple, which grows actually in Pennsylvania, but it's almost a rare type of maple that has really crazy graining in it. And so we etched that in. And what I did is I made like a really white ghost epoxy and I epoxied on top of it. And then we sanded that board flush to really give that like transparency look, almost of a stencil over the board. So that did really well for them. They sold that at one of their flagship stores and it sold out in 8 hours. So we did great with that project. The next one we did was on the left. This is the Pick Your Poison decanter that we did. Again, some homeware products. This was a decanter that we just really tried to figure out how to run a Kickstarter. Our first Kickstarter was a complete disaster. We did not make any money. Tried Kickstarter again with Pick Your Poison decanter. We made $30,000 in 30 days. So again, if you fail once, it's cool. Pivot, try something else. try it again. So Pick Your Poison to Cancer was super, it was great for us. It allowed us to really understand how to do a Kickstarter and what the differences are between customer work and almost like a product for selling kind of to the end product or the end person. So yeah, so those were great products that I did. Crazy 7 years of my life. But I got to a point where I was super unhappy. No idea why. I had a successful business. I had great clients. I got paid. I could, employ people, but I was so unhappy and I didn't understand why, because my whole life success was graduating college, having a successful businesses. These are all great things, but I never stopped to really say, like, I need to redefine success. Success is, I need to redefine what success is. And for me now, success is when I'm happy. If I'm not happy, I'm not successful in what I do. I need to be happy. So yeah, I decided to really stop and evaluate my life and really take stock of what does make me happy, and try to grow that and see kind of where that leads in the route of my success. And yeah, it was a very it was a very real moment in my life, because I had to learn a lot of skills that I didn't know how to manage. I've always been someone that just like puts their heads down and just charges forward and we'll get it done and we'll be successful. And I never stopped to really think, like, what do I want and what does make me happy? So lesson number 3, embrace who you are. You have to embrace who you are, and you have to realize when you need to make a change for yourself to be happy, because that is success. And it was a great lesson to learn. For me, that lesson meant I had to start over. I had to take a jump. I had to really understand what this meant for me. And yeah, I needed to, I didn't hit the mark with Studio KMD, like if we're talking the artillery shot again, I didn't hit the mark. I needed to stop and I needed to really reevaluate what it is that makes me happy. And if there's one consistent in my whole life, I love creating and making, and I love homeware. So that's kind of what I left with. So now, once you trust yourself and believe in yourself and your wants, the path will appear. I took a long time to stop and really try to figure out what it is I wanted and what made me happy. And I just was like, I just need to trust myself, because I've been able to have a lot of great things happen in my life. So I just need to make the jump. So for me, the jump was IKEA. I applied to a job. Very honestly, I applied to a minimum pay job, open, lowest, one of the lower rungs on the tier. Like I just wanted to get in. So I just wanted to get that door open, because I knew this was a company that I was passionate about. I knew this was something that I really cared about, and I wanted to make that company better. So for me, the motivation was I really saw a future there, and I wanted to get on board in any way I could. But I also knew that I made so many amazing skills and I had so much knowledge from KMD and Jefferson that I could make something happen. So I joined the South Philly IKEA store as a visual merchandiser specialist. This is the store that I worked in. I worked right down the road in South Philly. I stocked shelves. I set up displays. I set up P tags. I unpacked pallets if they needed to be unpacked. I did store work. I implemented, but doing this, I met a ton of amazing people. And I also figured out how companies work. I figured out how a store of that size works, which has been great. So this was my department. This was the department I stayed in most of the time. I got to know all the products, which I loved because I loved homeware. I loved the design side of IKEA. I loved how the products were created. I got to meet great people. And this kind of led me to be getting a position to be hired at a country level to really work on expanding the brand. So I could take some of the skills, design skills I had, I applied to this job and I got accepted. So out of the store, I was at the store for a year. Out of the store, I went to this, which was the IKEA corporate office right over in Conshohocken. So there I got to design massive country level projects. I got to really work with very smart people and really understand what it takes to open a brand new IKEA. The biggest IKEA I worked on was a little under 500,000 square feet, so 500,000 square foot store. So big undertaking, which is funny because I left architecture and went to industrial design, and now I kind of do some architectural sometimes, which is interesting. But yeah, so this is my offices. And that led me to this, which is because of the background I had at KMD, I do know about 3D programs. So I was actually asked to teach the country level design staff in 3D software. So the first one I did was SketchUp. This helped me understand, it was really my first time really teaching, but the things that I learned from my learning disability when I was younger about how people learn and about how people interpret information differently allowed me to teach countrywide a software platform that none of them have really ever touched in a matter of months. They all were working on it, and we facilitated 3D solutions from that. So then those 3D solutions turned into this. This is the IKEA. So yeah, I was lucky enough in this project to teach everybody about the software as well as design spaces myself. I've designed 9 stores that have opened worldwide or countrywide. I've gone on build-ups and I got to see firsthand how my designs actually were physical things that actually could help customers. I met a lot of amazing people around the country to understand how this all happened. So that was great. And then so after that, I got to do experimental. So this was our New York store that opened. This is the planning studio hub. So I also was on design team for that, as well as helping them understand the architecture of an existing building, which we usually do not do. We usually build from the ground up. So yeah, so I got to be on the design team. We got to open the space, and this was a really type performing planning studio for IKEA. So what kind of led me to that direction, which was very, very great. Again, interior showing. So this is again how we took the 3D and actually made buildings out from that. So after that, I got asked to really lead the next exploration of 3D software within IKEA, which is with Revit. So IKEA and Revit. We partnered with them to help understand how can we bring our designs to the next level. And honestly really understand what it is to use Revit for a commercial retail setting. I am a super user of Revit, so I did get that teachings, as well as I did teach the country in our Revit software. This is Revit. If any of you don't know, it is an architectural program, but you can also do interiors, and it also spits out information from it. So it's actually a smart 3D software. So you can actually derive information from the model you make. So this was me. I did travel around all of the US. I got to teach, again, a lot of great people, again, using the skills that I've learned previously to kind of help teach and help support and give confidence to people when, you know, they don't think they can do it, but they really can. And I really was excited to jump in and really teach store level up to country level the foundations of design, as well as how to use the software, which was great. So at this point, I applied to be in our co-create space, which is where I am currently. So I applied for a role in business development in the innovation and co-creation space. I'm an innovation and co-creation catalyst. So what that means is I really help to champion design thinking within IKEA, as well as the process of kind of co-creating something together. And really what that means for us is talking about it. Really, we use a lot of Post-its. We put notes on Post-its. We tape them up all over the room. We have really thoughtful discussions, because it's not just the product. It could be anything from solving a problem. And really what I try to do is I try to take design thinking and the core concepts and foundations I've learned at Jefferson and put them into the real world within IKEA to solve complex problems within our country and our global company. So really, it's weaving those kind of systems together. I also do a lot of workshops in trying to communicate. So my communicating skills have really helped me to understand how to talk to different people within the company, as well as really empathetically hear from their side and see the problems that they're facing. So really, really fruitful work. We're just getting started now. I have a couple other photos to show you. We don't have a ton of stuff, but a lot of in action, obviously being safe, wearing masks. But this is kind of the output. So we would have a board like this that shows all of everybody's comments and thoughts around a specific product or project we're working on. And then we would divide them up into these clusters to then have topics bubble to the surface that we can concentrate on and really try to develop solutions for, coming from a scope of what the problem was, not just throwing solutions at a problem. We also do synthesizing of information, as well as trying to understand how to analyze it, how to test certain pieces. So really, I've used all three levels of my life, which I'm learning now, to get to this point in my life. So I've used all my learnings from having a learning disability and how to communicate and how to empathize with people and how to teach and learn in different ways. I've used through industrial design, the concepts of design thinking and the design process and how to really run design, huge design projects now. And then at KMD, I've learned from a business development standpoint, what businesses need to thrive, what they need to shift, when they need to pivot from a very kind of larger outside focus. So for me, this is how my life has really led me to this point to be able to do innovation in what I do. And I guess the huge takeaway before we open it for questions is like, leap and the net will appear. Huge statement. I know that might sound scary, but like truly, don't be afraid to leap. Don't be afraid to pivot. If you're somewhere and you kind of don't know where to go, especially in amongst chaos, it's okay to take a step back, really think about what makes you happy and where you want to go and take that next step in. I definitely leaped when I left KMD and went to IKEA, taking a job that I did not know if I was ever going to get to the level that I'm at now, but I was centered around passion and excitement. And I figured the net would appear and I'll just do it at. So, yeah. And there is no failure. There's only adjustments. So if you're somewhere and it's not working out, just adjust and it'll be okay. You'll get to where you need to be. And that's honestly the best advice that I think I could give you. And I think I would want someone to give to me. And like, this was my path. I'm still walking my path. And like, your path around the road you travel is probably a path that's like, it's less traveled. You're the one walking it, but you are equipped to walk it. And anything you run into, you will be equipped to figure out how to deal with. And you'll be surprised how your life has set you up for that moment. So that's me and that's my path. And questions. We got some time left. We're okay. So yeah.
So Kyra, I hear you've got a side hustle going on too.
I do. I do. I have a side hustle. Me and my wife, we make leather bags. So remember how I said I had a senior thesis where I made bags? Well, like I made that a company because I thought that was a good idea. But yeah, so we make bags. Here's one. We make leather, all leather grain bags. We also are doing shoes soon. So here's a couple shoes. So we hand make everything. And then we also hand dye and hand finish everything in-house. And honestly, that also helps me keep my sanity because I get to keep my hands in the clay. I like making stuff. So there it is. So yeah, Loyalty Leather. Check us out. Loyalty Leather.
How do you find the time to do that?
Honestly, it's Cheryl does it full time. So my wife does Loyalty Leather full time. For me, it's a passion. It's like a love passion. So for me, it's very relaxing to do it. So it's almost like calming in my downtime. I like to keep my hands busy. I really like to shine shoes. So I honestly find the time because I just feel like it's super relaxing and I just need something to relax me after constant input of new things happening and, you know, design sprints around IKEA and stuff. So I find the time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and if anybody else, go ahead, Ainsley.
Yeah, I have a question if I could start it off.
Sure.
Thanks so much, Kyra. This was amazing. So this is kind of a question about, you know, when you had that first moment of pivoting, when you were in architecture, realized it wasn't quite the right fit. How do you advise students recognize when it's not them? It's the situation that they're in and they need to pivot. Because I think sometimes, you know, students, when they're unsure of themselves, they don't have that confidence yet. They get down on themselves. They're like, this isn't working for me. I'm not good at this.
Yeah.
Go a different path, but you went the path of this isn't working for me. I need to pivot and try something new. So what advice would you have for that?
I would say you really got to keep in mind, like, what is it what is it that you want? Like, I really always want to try to deliver confidence because I think confidence really helps you to be okay with what you really, really want. And for me, I wanted to make great things, but to be honest, once you take a step back, there's a bunch of different ways I could create great things, whether it's architecture, industrial design, graphics. So for me, it was just like, I needed to stop and realize that if this is what I want and I want to stay here, I need to be open to testing and trying. And that is just like, try some stuff out and don't like get so down or tunnel vision yourself that you have to have the answer right now. It's okay to try stuff out. Like me walking over to Smith House to industrial design with Amy was me just being like, I'm going to try something out because I know where I'm at. Is it really working? And that isn't you. That's just, you know, it wasn't the path that you were supposed to lead down, and that's okay. It's okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I had a question along similar lines, probably. I wanted to ask, like, do you actually still get like blocked now? And if you do, what is your go-to, like, this is a good way for me to get unblocked? Is it like, you know, it could be crazy. It could be like gardening or whatever, but like, what do you do to get unblocked? If you get blocked?
Yeah. So I definitely still get blocked, especially with my job in innovation. Right now we're running 5 projects. So imagine like 5 giant projects with a company, and you're constantly in meetings and you're constantly being fed information. So I'm really trying to learn with myself what the threshold is for my brain before I can just say, nope, like I need to come away, I need to unplug, and I need to get recentered. So I try to do a lot of self-awareness, which takes time and like constant like checking in with yourself. For me to get unblocked, I really need to unplug. I usually go downstairs, listen to music, go on a walk, get away from anything technical, especially right now. I also do something that is like just something that I can do and just let my mind wander a little. So sometimes it's walking. It's like shining shoes is a big one for me because like it's a little bit of industrial design. It's cleaning for a product or something and it brings me joy, but it also isn't something that takes a large amount of my mental capacity. So I try to do things that lower the amount of mental capacity you need. So you open your mind up to kind of think and you kind of hit your subconscious a little more to kind of get back to centered. And things will bubble to the surface. It's when you try to force it when nothing comes. So don't try to force it, just unplug and go for a minute.
Is the work that you do now industrial design in terms of designing products, or is it more, I don't know, big idea innovation versus sort of individual products?
Yeah, so right now I do not do industrial design products specifically. I do like design thinking systems. So in terms of like, we need a different way, we need to think in the future on how we're going to fulfill products. So right now we fill products in one specific way. We need to think, how are we going to fulfill products in 2030? Do that, you know, like, so it's very expansive futuristic thinking, or it's direct problem solving thinking. Like we have an issue with this thing, we need to ideate and innovate and design around that thing. So it definitely is interesting because sometimes you end up getting to a product where you have to partner with digital or you have to partner with engineers that make a product. Other times it's like over systems. But I like innovation and where I sit now, especially in a business development capacity, because you sit almost above it. You see the whole chain and how it connects into everything. And for me, I've learned that actually helps make a solution that is a little bit more stable and runs through the entire company more than just like a singular product or something. So the time that I have been doing it, it's really been fruitful and really eye-opening. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. Anytime.
I don't know if it's a question, but I just wanted to say, I really enjoyed hearing you speak. I really connected with how you said like you learn differently and how you always knew that like making things makes you happy. I connect with that a lot, and I'm glad that things worked out for you, and that gives me a lot of hope. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, it's weird how everything just works out, and I definitely, yeah, I'm happy that I could kind of come and share my story, especially because it's a wild one. It's a wild one for sure. But I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that.
Hey, I had a quick question, which I am also for collaboration and for connecting. And I was wondering if you had any tips for the students for how to reach out, what was most successful for you, and how did you advocate for your design, but keep a collaborative, feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, the best way that I learned how to reach out, I really relied a lot on like my communication skills to reach out in college. I was really fortunate enough to be with 28 other students in industrial design that were like really, really good friends. They all had friends. So we would all talk like after class, we would hang there. Todd knows we would hang there for like hours and talk to one another. And then I would be able to talk to other people. And then sometimes I just went into textile when they were doing their working hours and was like, hey, I'm Kyra. If you need anything in industrial design, I can help you, but I also would love some help. And then like, it was one of those, like, I think sometimes you just have to open the door for students to say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. I am trying to learn the skill of this. If any of you could give me any information, that'd be great. And you'll be surprised where it snowballs too. And I think trading, I know we did a ton of trading, especially like with the fashion show, people needed certain stuff made. We would definitely help in any capacity we could there. So that was always good. In terms of collaborating, but keeping your own kind of design aesthetic, I think it really needs to like, I would say you need to ask the right questions. I've learned that a lot, even in the current job that I'm in. Asking the right questions gets you to nuggets that you didn't know were there and ways that you can improve your design. Asking very open-ended, broad questions could get you down a road that you don't want to be down. So if I'm designing something and I know in my head this is where I'm designing, but I don't really know how it's going to connect into this other piece, ask questions around that other piece. Because then you'll take that information and put it into your design, but you don't need to redo the entire design. So just be poignant in the questions that you ask, and be able to kind of grow relationships around that conversation. That allows you to kind of keep your design, but also collaborate and learn, which is super helpful. Yeah.
When you started taking like business courses at Penn, do you take any other courses now besides like, keeping yourself up to date on Revit?
Oh my God.
What else are you studying?
Yeah, so a good question, because like, honestly, you live in college is not you stopping to learn. Like I read more now than I did in college. I read at least an hour a day outside of work. And then I probably have to do 1 to 2 hours of research of new existing technology within my job at innovation. So right now I read a lot of communication awareness books to help me kind of be aware of other people, where they're at and where I'm at, and how to collaborate with them. In terms of business, what I took at Penn is I took small business and entrepreneurship classes through the Small Business Bureau. That got me a lower price point to get into that class, but it also opened me up to all that network of Penn people, which was fantastic. Those classes really were around accounting, how to write a business plan, how to write a job scope, how to do a profit loss statement, how to understand when you're going to be profitable, when you're not going to be profitable. So I took those classes with that Studio KMD. Right now within IKEA, I'm taking innovation knowledge classes through IDEO. So right now I'm running through those, as well as I'm doing a lot of kind of books just around a lot of different knowledges, how to create good habits, what is aesthetic intelligence, creative confidence. I really, the one thing that I would say kind of goes through a lot of different threads is like having confidence. So I'm really trying to learn how to grow and deliver confidence to others, because I think respecting people you're in a room with, especially when you're collaborating, only gets you better. So I'm also really trying to learn that. In terms of Revit, I did do a super user training within the company about 2 years ago. Right now, I'm not doing any specific software training. It's more just how to collaborate and how to create in a multidiscipline team. So right now, I work with anybody from the very highest executives within IKEA all the way down to cashiers. So I do a full gamut of collaborating and just truly talk to everybody. So I am really trying to figure out how different systems in the company connect and work. So that's kind of where my head is at right now, at least. Yeah. Yeah.
Kyra, speaking of where you're at now, I noticed what seemed to be some stuff from the Strategizer value proposition design book in one of your slides. What are you looking at that's helpful in the work that you're doing now in terms of design strategy and innovation and basically sort of teaching design process?
Yeah, so one of the, I forget his name now, but one of the guys from, and I can send this information to you too, Todd, but I sat in a conference and one of the guys that actually was pivotal to making Autodesk, I kind of stepped away and did a whole idea of like what it is to collaborate and innovate in a space, especially virtual. So it was a lot around, he called them plays. So like you're set up to do plays and you're trying to get strategies, and he has a lot of great tools depending on the science of innovation is truly depending on what structure and how you want to set that play up to yield the results you're trying to yield. And that truly is the science of and kind of the skill of innovation, to say, okay, we're going to do maybe a problem statement exercise, but we really define the problem, so then we can step off from there. Or synthesis of testing. We do a ton of testing, hours of testing. How do you synthesize that appropriately on a board to get consistent, quick knowledge that you can show to somebody that has maybe 10 minutes to look at that slide? What does that thing look like? So I can send that stuff over to you. It definitely was really, really helpful. The other person, I think IDEO definitely has some great stuff out, especially a lot of free stuff. They have I know they have a podcast as well as, I believe, a YouTube.
They got everything.
Yeah, right. They got it all.
It's sorting through the stack to find the helpful stuff. I found that's the trick there.
Yeah. And it's interesting right now. There's a ton of information about how to do it virtually. I do it virtually every day, so I'm very interested in that. But like, how do you collaborate virtually? And if really we could, I think there are a lot of great softwares to do that. I know Whiteboard is very interesting. I know another great one is Miro. Miro allows you to set up in the whiteboard quick templates to get to where you want to get to. They also have a lot of great content because they do hold conferences with a lot of great people. Another great avenue is the author of Sprint. Sprints, we run sprints every year. But the author of Sprint's the New York Times bestseller. And he worked at Google and everything. He also redrafted something about how to do this virtually. I've never run a sprint virtually before, so I really kind of don't know exactly every kind of method to the madness there, but he also posted that on his sprint website too. If any of you are thinking of doing that or want to learn more about that, it's definitely there too. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about the role portfolio played in going from position to position?
Yeah, sure. So portfolio, definitely for Studio KMD, it really helped us to, at that point, I used my portfolio to try to get clients, right? So a lot of times it was showing them what I could do, because in their minds, they're working at a company. They know what they need. They want to see that you could do what they need, so then they could hire you. So at that point, portfolio was really about showing a lot of capabilities. When I went to KMD, then KMD produced its own portfolio as well as mine. And then honestly, from going from KMD to IKEA, the portfolio was really to help me show the design process and to show that I could complete and create, especially for that store. You need to set up so many different things. You need to build so much different things in terms of like actual displays. So a lot of my portfolio was, yes, I could do the design process, but also can create this thing. Now my portfolio is truly all about design thinking, design process, and how to get us from A to B and what the outcome was and how it solved the problem. So that's a great question. I truly think take as much information as you can for your portfolio. So as you do these projects as you go through college, take as much documentation as you can so you can flex your portfolio to answer the needs of whatever jobs you're trying to reach, whether it's an industrial designer at a firm or a innovation expert or a research expert or whatever it is. If you can try to capture and hold kind of those little pieces of other projects, you can shift your portfolio. And I shifted my portfolio all the time to get what I needed out of it. The projects didn't change. What I showed changed. Yeah. Yeah.
What type of design programs do you use? Do you use Adobe at all?
So within IKEA, right now we use SketchUp. It depends. If you're talking architecture, interior design, we're going to use Revit. We're going to use SketchUp. If you're talking the designers of actually the products, they'll probably use SolidWorks too. I don't think they use Rhino, but I can double check. So those are honestly the softwares for sure. Yeah. What else we got? Any other questions?
This isn't necessarily a question, but I just wanted to like thank you for including like even the low points, because I think whenever we hear like other people's stories, we get caught up by like comparing ourselves with like our own highs and lows with only other people's highs.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to thank you for that.
Oh, dude, I totally appreciate that. I was like, I'm gonna show it all, because like it's not all rainbows and sunshines. And it's like, yeah, I think being fully transparent and just being open and helping one another out, like that's what it's all about. So absolutely wanted to share my super low points. And also just to be honest, like I've lived with chaos and I know right now it's crazy out in the world right now. And don't let that scare you as to where you think you're going to land when you leave college, because I'm telling you, like I left college at the worst. 2009 was rough. And like we still succeeded and got to where we wanted to get to. So just, be open-minded and don't think this is like the end all be all, because you'll keep walking. You'll be surprised. You'll keep walking and you got the skills. That's the best thing. It's just to capture the skills and to keep learning.
Yeah, just for a little context, I think if anybody thinks that the employment situation is bad now, I think it was like twice as bad in 2009.
Oh man, it was.
I think we're already back from when it was as bad as 2009.
It
So
was
anybody who hasn't graduated yet, you're going to be doing better than that.
yeah, man, I'm telling you, it was rough. I mean, there was people that were like on their second or third job getting laid off. Like it was just really, really, really rough. And honestly, like I think we lived, like a lot of us that were still around, that picture that I showed you, we were all in front of Smith House. There was like 5 of us that like somehow rented this house so we all could stay in this house, and we all tried to get any job we could to like get through those months after 2009. Like sometimes you have to do what you have to do to get to the next stage, but don't let that affect you to be like, oh my, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. You're doing great. It's just a little bit of a transition, you know? So keep learning, keep having, you know, an idea of where you want to get to, and keep going. You don't need it to be, you know, like just like that the day you graduate. We all had crazy paths to get where we all are now.
I had a question.
Yeah, what's up?
So I was wondering if you had a take on like the specialist versus generalist debate, where like something with design is so cool is that, you know, we're able to connect different ideas from things that people might not have thought and find like solutions to things. But also like in your case, you know, you got to teach a lot of teams because you were the one who knew about 3D modeling softwares and things like that. So I was wondering if you had any sort of take on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say this, I would say a specialist allows you, like, yeah, I was the only one that really had 3D software ability, so I got that kind of job. But at the same point, even if you're a generalist, like I know a lot of different information on how to build a lot of different things, but I'm still a specialist when it comes to design process and design thinking and innovation. Like I'm still a specialist, even though if you look back at the backside of that, there's a lot of other knowledge that's generalized to get to that point. So I think I would really say, take the knowledge in and I would almost say be careful how you use this phrase, I'm a generalist or I'm a specialist, because you can know a lot of different stuff and still be a specialist in something. You know what I mean? So I would almost say you're probably a specialist in something, but it's good to have that generalist information behind you so you can see big picture, because sometimes being too specialized gets you such a tunnel vision that you can't step out and see all of it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Man, this is good, Todd. You got some good students talking, asking questions.
That's the way it goes here.
I mean,
It's the way we roll.
that is the way we roll.
Hello.
I had one other observation, sorry, and then, sorry, the student can ask, but it's so interesting how you it seems like you use design thinking for your own life and your own career. And I know we talked about that, but it's so cool because it's like if students, you know, I'm in career services, so I try to tell you guys, you have all the skills to take the design thinking to your career. And like Kyra just said, you know, in developing her portfolio, she developed it for what job she was going to apply to, not for her own benefit. So that's a user experience sort of mindset, right? And then in terms of getting these different jobs, you prototyped, oh, I'm just going to take this job at IKEA and try it out, you know? So I think it's so cool that a lot of the things that you learned at Jefferson, you applied to your career progression. So I just wanted to point that out because I love that.
Yeah, I truly do design thinking like to my life as an extreme. I test and try all the time, and sometimes like it doesn't work, and that's okay. Just got to switch around, and you just have to have, you know, some hypothesis and give it a shot, and then when it works, keep doing what works, you know, and just keep building on top of that. It's definitely helpful. And it's surprising because as you're learning these things, even if it's just like a vase that you're building, you don't know all the extra skills you're getting. And it's funny because I really had to, like, you have to stop and look behind almost to see how much actual more there was to that than just I made a vase or I made a clock, and how to use that in your world. So yeah, totally agree.
Was there another question? One of the students had a question. Sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, Elijah, you have a question.
What's up,
Yeah. Hello.
Hey, what's good?
I was just going to say that like somebody else previously said, I appreciate how you put the things that kind of set you back a little bit, because that's one of my main fears, like not like after graduating, not going directly into the field of my choice, I guess. But I don't really know what direction the idea I want to go into yet. So I guess I'm just kind of keeping it open for now.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
should I keep it open, or like should I find something to focus on?
No, what I would do, honestly, you know what I did, and I really actually helped me out a lot, was just like read around, because there's so many jobs now that are being made. So what happened because of COVID shifted so much in terms of the working world that, like, honestly, innovation was not a job 2 or 3 years ago at IKEA. I had no idea that innovation was even going to be a job when I took that job in South Philly 4 years ago. Like, I had no idea. So for me, I think what's very interesting is every once in a while, if you just are hanging out, read job postings to even see what's out there, see what people are looking for and what they want to hire, see what jobs are like. Like, there's an innovation job at Comcast, which is very different than the innovation job I had. There are some similarities, but like, yeah, talk to one another, read the job descriptions. If you don't know what field you want to settle in, you know, just kind of have like a one-on-one with yourself, see what you like, and then maybe poke around some job postings around that area to even just get a footing in the lay of the land of how the whole, like, how that whole sector works, you know? And then hopefully you'll get a good feeling about one or two of them, and then you can kind of have a path, you know? And that's the biggest thing, guys. Like, the biggest thing I learned is like, you're never going to follow somebody else's path. You're going to walk your own path, and giving yourself the time to kind of look around to see what's out there allows you to figure out what path you might want to walk down. So don't feel like you got to have all the answers right now, and looking around never hurt anyone. Just like read a couple stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
I wanted to say real quick that I appreciated you talking about the mindset behind what you do instead of like just the technicalities of design and everything, because I feel like a lot of times that's what people talk about, but you kind of spoke a little bit more about like why we do what we do. And I wanted to ask you, how do you like find a way to be proactive instead of just like reactive to people's expectations of you? And like, how do you meet other people's expectations? Because I'm sure you get a bunch of emails and project goals while still like keeping sight of your own goals.
Yeah. So I try to develop really, really good relationships with my managers. And I try to only take jobs with managers that I truly believe have my best kind of like interest at heart. And I've been very lucky within IKEA. Even my manager at the store, all the way to my current manager, I can be very upfront with them about, hey, too much, like I can't get to that thing. And they get it, because like at the end of the day too, it's gonna come full-fledged until you tell somebody where your wall is. So for me, I try to develop really good relationships with my managers, but I also try to tell them and know myself. So I do a lot of like Strength Finders is a book I have right here. So I took Strength Finders. I try to figure out what my strengths are, and then I tell my manager naturally what my strengths are, because I'm already built to do that stuff really, really well. So like, give me that stuff. So that way, when I'm in projects, I naturally can, I have more of a chance to succeed, and I can naturally kind of rely on the stuff I already do than necessarily trying to like figure out how to do it. So I try to know myself and communicate that to my manager. And then I also try to like be really open and honest and empathetic to my coworkers. So if someone emails me and they need me to do something and I just don't have the time to do it, I'm going to email them back and say like, hey, Nancy, I got that email. I totally know this is a priority. I'm going to try to get to it, but this is what I got. Can I set you on this day? If not, let me know. We can just chat. Like, it's all good. And I try to also break down the walls of like, you know, you have to have an appointment to talk to me. I'm trying to be super approachable and like open and just really honest with people. And usually when that I can have that kind of like conversation with somebody, it turns out good, whether I can get it done for them right now or not. I'm honest with them and I can understand that like I can make time, it just might not be right now. And that conversation is kind of just something I've developed and learned going forward, because you'll have that in any company. And honestly, like sometimes in work, especially right now in like a pandemic, things are going to rain. So it's smart to be able to kind of know where your ceiling is and to be honest about it.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, this was certainly really inspiring tonight, and I think that's, you know, usually that's a good thing, but I think it's an especially good thing now because I feel like people needed a little bit of inspiring and a little bit of a kick in the pants and a little bit of a view of the future that got your brand of relentless positivity attached to it. So thank you so much for joining us here tonight. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, everyone. I really love talking about it. And honestly, if any of you guys have questions that we didn't get to, just hit me up on LinkedIn. Everybody knows my info over there, so just ask around if you need it, and shoot me whatever you want. And I'm always here for you. And guys, we'll get through it, man. We'll get through it. We'll be all right.
Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
And again, you know, we're hoping you're not a stranger here. We're hoping you can. We'll see more of you soon.
Yeah, I'll come pop my head around. Todd, you know you can't keep me away.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night. I'm gonna try to stop.
Thanks, Kyra. This was awesome.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
What's your number one strength finder?
Yeah, check out Strength Finder. I love that.
I love it. I love it so much.
Strength.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Cool. And Todd, I'll send you over the other stuff that I found too. I think it's on my other computer, so I gotta.
Yeah, and if anybody else is interested, I can make that available. So
yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. Cool.
All right, I'm gonna stop recording, and good night, everybody.
Thanks,
Hope
Martin.
to see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.